Okay, so moving on. Thank you very much for staying here with me. Okay, now we are already in. This is the continuation of our finals discussion, and we are already in element 3.3. Now, moving on to the contents of this slide, we'll be touching on the transport room service trays and trolley to the guest room. What are different ways of doing that? Number 2, how are we going to request entry to the room? Number 3, what is the proper procedure in entering the guest in accordance to company standards? Number 4, what is the positioning of the order? What are the things that you have to consider? 5, identify room service items that have been supplied. So what are the supplies that you need? 6, service food items in accordance with enterprise standards and served the beverage according to, once again, company standards. Okay, now transport room service trays and trolleys to guest room. So how are you going to do that? Coming from the room service, you need to make sure that there are no protruding items. Protruding items is basically talking about the knives. Whenever the guest orders for a steak, you might have a steak knives pointing out that can hurt you. So before you push your tray, make sure all your cutleries are lined up, everything is nice and stable, everything else is not they're not going to fall. So you have to check on those things. So those are the things whenever you're preparing the trolley. Now, how are we going to request entry to the guest room in accordance to company standards? Once again, in my standard in the industry that I work for, you need to knock twice, and then you announce room service, and then if nobody answers, knock thrice. 1, 2, 3. Announce room service, and then you're gonna have to wait for roughly around 10 to 15 minutes to give the guest some time to open the door. So the guest might be coming out from the shower, the guest might just waking up, coming from their bed. So that is the safest time to wait, 10 to 15 seconds. And if nobody answers, that is the time that you're going to open the door. If they requested for breakfast at 8 o'clock and you were there at 8 o'clock, you followed the company standard of knocking, you followed the company standard of waiting 10 to 15 minutes, and now your practical support reason of entering the room is because they ordered for the breakfast. So you use your master key. All of the room server have their own, servers have their own master key. So if nobody answers, use the key, and then be able to leave the breakfast on the table. So they're probably gone out for something, and they will come back right away. And then if the guest is not there, you just have to leave the piece of paper stating that the server came here, but you were not able to open the door. That's why that is safe to do. It's totally fine. Okay, when nobody answers, open up the door and be able to deliver it, and then you come back right away, or you come back afterwards whenever the guest is ready there, for them to be able to sign the paper needed to settle their account. Next, enter the guest room and prepare for in-room service in accordance with the guest requirement or preferences when applicable. So once again, this scenario is the time is basically showing you the guest whenever the guest is inside. Okay, if you knock and the guest opens up the door, enter the room, say good morning, I brought your breakfast, and make sure before you leave the breakfast, everything is complete, everything is in order. Okay, just to make sure that you don't have to come back for any missing items, and be able to do some unsolicited comments. Unsolicited comments is a comment of agreeing. If the guest tells you, can you put it on the table, then you just reply, oh, that's a great idea, and that is what you call unsolicited comment, to agree on whatever the guest say. Okay, example of room service. So once again, same picture. So be able to arrange whatever you need there on top. Make sure, once again, I keep on emphasizing, it happened to me before. If I forgot a sugar, if I forgot a creamer, then I'm gonna have to come back for it. Just imagine if you're coming from room 101 and you're all the way going to the kitchen is all the way further back to room 707. So that is going to be a long wait for the guest. So make sure you have everything complete. Request entry. So once again, request entry, depending on the standard, but basically knock twice, announce room service, knock thrice, and then announce room service. Now, okay, once you're already inside the guest room, okay, this is what are you going to do. So you place it, depending on the standard. If the hotel will require you to put on a tablecloth, be able to do it so, because the more glamorous breakfast, like in the cruise ships, we have what we call champagne breakfast. Once the guest orders for champagne breakfast, it is mandatory that they're going to put on a tablecloth. They're going to have half a bottle of champagne. They're going to have some berries. They're going to have a quiche Lorraine. They're going to have some salmon and bagel, coffee and tea, and whatever they ask for. So once again, once you're already inside, make sure you follow everything. You provide the service that they needed. If that is just a simple regular breakfast, then the tablecloth is not longer necessary, only for special services. So this is the typical type of room service. Once again, you have the coffee, you have this bacon, you have some tomatoes, you've got fruits, you've got orange, you have this bread. This is called croissant. Croissant is a fluffy French bread, and everybody likes it. Croissant basically comes with the continental breakfast. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, positioning the order. So imagine yourself pushing in the trolley. Where is the right place to position it? So normally, you're going to position the trolley right in front of the door or next to the door. So that's how you position. That is where you're going to unload the tray. So make sure whenever you are unloading the tray, make sure you're going to do it slowly. So once again, be very cautious. Make sure you're not going to damage any plate presentation. Make sure you're not going to spill any coffee on the trays, and if you do, make sure you're going to wipe it. Okay, everything has to be immaculate, everything has to be nice and clean. Do not rush. Okay, and everything's going to be okay. Park the trolley properly as required by the company standard. Instances of request, if there will come up time that whenever the guest whenever you're already inside the room and the guest orders for another like another pot of coffee, then just say yes. Then just be able to do it. Do not say, but this is just only the breakfast that you ask for. You're not supposed to argue with the guest. Instead, just follow what they ask for. Okay. Now, identify room service items that have been supplied and confirm order with the guest. So, checking delivered order. So, whenever you're there or prior to delivery, whenever you're arranging the trays, make sure you have the breakfast order in the hotel. Normally comprises of the list of the breakfast. So on the left side, I should be able to show it to you when we meet in person. The left side would be the hot food. So if they like an sausage, you just have to check it out. Sausage, beans, bacon. So anything they ask for is what you'll just have to check. So before you leave the kitchen, make sure everything is complete. Advise potential hazards. Potential hazards would mean whenever you're there inside the room, just tell to the guest, mom or sir, please be careful with the teapot, or please be careful with the coffee pot because the coffee is very hot. And they will really appreciate it because you're trying to warn them. Respond to the guest request. So as we all know, whatever the guest ask for is what we have to comply. We are not going to complain to any of their requests. We are not going to say no to any of their requests. Okay? Announce the dish's name. So whenever you're there, announce to the guest, here's your breakfast, continental breakfast. It comes with the croissant. You have some Danish and pastries. And along with this, you've ordered for a coffee and 1 cappuccino, 2 tomato juice, and 1 orange juice. And then right after you announce the dishes that you're delivering, they are going to acknowledge it. And then once they say yes, you can ask them once again, did I get it right? Do you need something else at this moment? If they say no, you are good to go. Serve food items in accordance with enterprise standards. So once again, enterprise standard. What are these? So these are the basic cooking knowledge. So if you are the person taking the order from the room service, okay, you need to inform the guests if their orders for the omelette and they are ordering the breakfast at the same day. You need to emphasize, ma'am, the cooking time of omelette is 20 to 30 minutes. In that way, the guests will be aware that they have to wait for 20 to 30 minutes. So they are not going to complain. That is very important. So cooking knowledge also talks about the time of cooking. Cooking knowledge also talks about the way the dish is being prepared. If the guest is on the phone asking you, how is the veal being cooked? And then you must be able to tell them, oh, the veal cordon bleu is cooked deep fried. And can you tell me what's in the veal cordon bleu? Veal cordon bleu is a veal layered with some Swiss cheese and some ham, breaded and deep fried. So these are the basic cooking knowledge that you need to have in order for you to answer the questions of the guest confidently. Special arrangements. Special arrangements could pertain to any celebrations, birthday, anniversaries, can be a debut, okay? It can be a retirement, it can be a graduation celebration. So these are the special arrangements. So whenever they tell you that we're having an anniversary, be able to get all the complete details. What's the name of the couple that having the anniversary? What are the drinks that they're going to have aside from the champagne? Are they going to have some canapes or the one bite cookies? Are they going to have a small appetizers? So those are the things that you need to confirm. And then normal table setting. Normal table setting is, or well, it depends on the standard of the company once again. So if they are just ordering a regular dinner, then a normal table setting should be provided. If they are having a special dinner, then the setup should be more glamorous. And once say glamorous, you must be able to use the special glasses. Remember the glasses that I've told you? If they're having expensive wine, use the Riedel glasses. If they're having an expensive champagne, use the champagne flute. Everything has to be immaculate. Everything has to be free of stain. The glasses are clean, cutleries are clean, and so on and so forth. Next, checking the guest satisfaction. So whenever you're there, so normally this happens in the dining room, but when it comes to the butler service, after the waiter has served the dinner or the breakfast, and if he is asked to stay there to check the guest satisfaction, so basically the waiter can come inside the room and check them if they're enjoying the dinner. If they are, then that is good. They'll just have to wait for the guest to be finished. If the guest is having some issues or comment like the steak is tough, then the waiter or who's doing the butler service is going to change it right away. So basically that's very straightforward. So room service items have been supplied. So once again, it's another picture of how are you going to arrange the tray. You have the glasses, you have the sparkling water, you have some sort of cookies. Okay, and here, once again, you have the cover to make the food nice and hot. If the guest has asked for a white wine, then automatically that should come with an ice bucket. So along with that, you must be able to bring the ice bucket with you. And so with the sparkling champagne or sparkling wines and champagne should be served with an ice bucket. Now, serving food items in accordance with enterprise standards. As we can see, enterprise standard is coming repeatedly because it is very important. You need to be standard when it comes to serving. You need to be standard when it comes to plating. As you can see, you have the piece of chicken. If the chicken has a tomato and broccoli, and the other one should also have it. In most cases, the cooks, whenever they're busy, they are forgetting to put on the piece of tomato. So make sure you are having the last touch. Make sure you double check what is on the plate to avoid any possible problems. Okay, now what you can see here is what we call the Russian service. The server, which is a lady, as being shown, is serving a it looks like a cheese plate. The cheese plate normally is being served different types of cheese, and it's served with some grapes. Okay, and this is perfect combination with the wines. As you can see, they're having some white wines here. So whenever the server is serving, is serving it on the plate, that is called the VIP service or the Russian service. Okay, next, serve beverage items in accordance with enterprise. Once again, long bar for guests. So long bar for guests could be any types of drinks. It could be a beer, it could be a spirits, it could be a wine, Now, bar service, whenever it's applicable, whenever you have acquired some skills in juggling, whenever you have time, you can do that in front of the guests just to add some entertainment. Okay. Now, next one is serving a bottle of wine. So we have already touched on this detail by detail on a previous video that I made. If you want to have a look again, you can go back and play that. It's in one of my videos. Okay, and the waiter approves the wine. Anyway, once again, just to remind you once again, the first process of presenting the wine is to hold the bottle, present the wine facing to the guest, and then mention the name of the wine, mention the grape variety, mention the country where it was made. Okay, so basically those are the three things, and of course the vintage. Okay, the vintage is also what you have to mention. So that's how it looks like. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to the method of payment, present room service account whenever it's necessary, and process of room service accounts. First, method of payments. Bills included, always check the details. Now, if you have the bill jacket and you're going to room 101, make sure that the bill jacket belongs to room 101. Double check the room number and double check the name. If it says here that the room 101 belongs to Mr. Smith, and on your check room 101 with a different name, maybe name of Mr. White, then you must be able to have it double check. So for you not to have any possible problem, make sure that you have the complete details, room name, room number are the same, and then you're good to go. Check the details. So basically, the process of settling the account is basically same here in the Philippines. If you happen to check into one of the hotels whenever you're abroad, whenever in the cruise ships, it's basically the same thing. They normally doing it contactless transaction, which we already have in the Philippines. They have the QR code system. Okay, so and any other services that will require contactless services is also being observed in any other parts of the world. Okay, next, present room service account to the guest. So how are you going to do that? Confirmation of delivery, like, sir, here's your food. If you're doing the room service, here's your food. Mention you have steak, you have the chicken, you have one bottle of wine and one beer. Check. And then from the receipt, make sure the receipt is the same with what are you serving, and then check the amount. Okay, so make sure you have the correct amount on your check. Okay, last from this slide, process payment of room service account. You must not forget the signature. Whenever you're presenting the account, make sure they're going to sign for it. Sign for the credit cards, most likely. Okay, and then if they're having a cash, then most likely they don't need to sign anymore. If you're settling the account inside the hotel, that is mandatory for them to sign. The customer may like to pay in cash. If they would like to do it so, then be it. The docket could be considered invalid. Invalid, like if that is, or if you're having any trouble with in some cases, the bill jacket can contain nothing inside because you probably left it on the table without you knowing that some of the guests are doing it intentionally. They are leaving the bill jacket without any money on it. So whenever you are in a restaurant scenario, keep an eye on the bill jacket and make sure that they're going to put in the money inside the bill jacket. So thank you very much. That is for element 3.3 to 3.4. Now we're going to be moving on to the next part, which is 3.5 and 3.6. It's okay. Now, the first video I've talked about the delivering or the room service. Here it will basically focusing on the clearing. So the clearing is a very basic process in which you are going to clean whatever the guest has finished. Basically, this belongs to the housekeeping department. But then, like I keep on saying, if or when it becomes necessary for the dining room staff to clean some of those leftover plates by the guest, you're gonna have to do it. So remove the room service trays, trolley, and service items. So basically, this is very straightforward. Whatever you serve, whenever the guests have already finished, you just have to clear it. Usual practices is to check floor by floor. Make sure you're going to check first floor or third floor going up to the 99th floor. Be able to do that. So clearing can undertake day or night. Actually, as we all know by now, a hotel operation is a 24-hour operation. So clearing, to maintain the cleanliness of the hotel, it has to be done day and night. Now, so whenever there's stolen items, it has to be reported. That's very rarely to happen. Next, return room service trays, trolleys, and service items to appropriate location. So this is very straightforward, and we need to be able to put back the trays to their original location. It's not okay. There's no way that you can tell to your boss, I have already finished my duty and I'm going to leave it on the 30th floor. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to bring it back to where it was stored, so the other employees, the other waiters can make use of them. So how are you going to put back the trolleys? First and foremost, you need to dismantle. You need to remove the tablecloth. You need to clean it. You need to sanitize it. And at this point of time, that is very straightforward. We should know it by now. Even if you're not going to be told, you should be able to know that whenever you use something, you have to clean it. You have to put it back from its original location. Unload all trays from the trolley. Remove the trays. Send it to the washing machine. Check the condition and safety. What are the things that you're going to check in the condition of the trolley? These are the wheels. These are the handles. Make sure that they're comfortable with a good grip. Make sure it's giving you a good grip. And next, once the trolley's empty, you have to clean it and sanitize it. Once again, clean and sanitize, store and reset. So depending on the standard, once again, you're going to place it there based on the company standard. If the company standards tells you that just leave the tray there nice and clean, be able to do that. So if the company standard of the hotel tells you to leave the trolley with the tablecloth on, then do it. Be able to do that. So, and of course, refill supplies if necessary. Refill whatever you have to put on. It could be the napkins and tissues. It could be a set of cutleries on top of that. Okay, now special items, complimentary items, food and beverage. So these are the items that's normally being placed inside the room. Food and beverage complimentary, meaning say they already have it. It comes with the check-in. Food and beverage, fruit basket, local products whenever they have it. Dietary requirements if the guest is having an allergies of peanuts, then 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 you must be able to observe it. If the guests are having some vegan diet, gluten-free diet, then we must be able to apply it on whatever food that we are serving. Lactose intolerance, artificial sweeteners. Well, these artificial sweeteners should normally come on a tray. Now, I'm going to give you the colors of the sugar aside from the white sugar that we have in the Philippines. The artificial sweeteners normally are the yellow ones. The yellow artificial sweetener is called Splenda. The pink artificial sweetener is called Sweet and Low. And the blue artificial sweetener is called Equal. So wherever you go, that is what you're going to see. Okay, those sweeteners. So please take note of those. Now undertake ancillary duties. Ancillary duties can pertain to basically pertaining to it could be the cooks, it could be the dishwashers of any additional work that they're going to be passed to them. Next, element 3.6, maintain readiness of the room service area. So that looks appealing. This fish, you have the vegetables on the side. Now, clean and maintain room service trolleys. As you can see, this is nice and tidy. So once again, it must be nice and hot. That is very important. So you have the centerpiece. You have a piece of card. Okay. It could be a menu. It could be a welcoming note. So room service staff should be able to perform this. Once again, based on the procedures and policies. Store it nice and clean. And the hot boxes should be done or should be sanitized right after the service. Basically, this is how it looks like. Okay, so clean room service. Crockery are pertaining to the ceramics or the plates. So how are you going to do that? That is very straightforward. Put together, transport to the dishwashing area. So the only thing that you need to pay attention is the proper storage of it, the proper storage of the dirty plates. Make sure you're going to put it on the tray, nice and secured, to avoid any accidents, to avoid any breakages, to avoid any damages. Then at this point, we must be able to know that any damages will add cost to the establishment. And once your cost is too high, that will be deducted to the sales of the restaurant. So you need to minimize the cost, minimize the breakages while maximizing the revenue. That is one important aspect in the restaurant operation. Oh, we almost finished. We got 2 more slides to go. Restock the room service area to facilitate ongoing readiness for action. What are the things that you have to stock? Supplies have to be replenished on a daily 24-hour service, must be prepared and organized, store safely and neatly, maintain clean at all times. So basically, this is how it looks like. So anything that you put on, never ever forget the centerpiece. because the centerpiece always adds to the presentation of the dining experience. Sorry. Okay. Stack food and beverage if necessary. So trays and trolleys must be checked. Cutleries, crockery. Once again, crockery are the plates. Cutleries are the knives and forks. Linen has to be immaculate. The linen should be free of stain. There should it should be free from any holes. Glasswares should not have any watermarks. And of course, the selected food beverage items must be there whenever it is needed. That's how you restock the room service tray if provided by the company. Okay. Now, so this part here is basically the part of the housekeeping department once again, but we're going to touch on this just to give you an idea. Stock of non-food beverage could be soap, towels, light bulbs, and batteries. The guest may require for the toaster, jug, or bottle opener, corkscrew, and coffee makers. So once again, that is the basic policies of the room service clearance. Always make sure that you're complying with the company standard, and always double check with your work to your colleagues or your supervisor, just to make sure that you are doing it properly, that you're doing it up to the service standards. So thank you very much. That is the end of our final discussion. So after this video, I might ask you, if we still have time, I might ask you to stand by. I'm going to ask you questions, or if you have any questions or clarifications, you can tell me afterwards. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you around. Bye.